Welcome back into our first main discussion for the morning. Now, as a country grows and expands, there are bound to be gaps and deficits here and there, and the education sector is not an isolation from that fact. There are still some significant gaps in educational opportunities between the rural and urban communities. The few that excel also face financial challenges, and for that reason, withdraw from school. The reports have shown that. Now, this dropout as a result of financial constraint is on the increase in certain parts of the country. Now, what's the role of the Student Loan Trust Fund in trying to reverse the trend, improving on the situation to close the gap, as it were? I have with me in the studio this morning Mr. Andy Osei-Okrabo, Chairman of the Student Loan Trust Fund. Good morning, welcome, Andy.
Good morning.
I chose to do the introduction of the lady specially, so I waited for her to have last time. Mrs. Sheila Nabuama is the Chief Executive of the Student Loan Trust Fund. Good morning, Sheila.
Good
welcome.
Morning, thank you.
Great. First of all, a brief background, if you like, on the trust fund, Student Loan Trust Fund.
Thank you. Thank you, my brother, and then thanks for the opportunity. As you know, the Student Loan Trust Fund is set up by the government, by an act of parliament. In 2005, before that, we were all collecting money from the SNIT loans. And then government wanted to have a special fund set for that. So in 2005, through the Trust Incorporation Act 1962, we set up that fund. And in 2011, Act 802 was also promulgated to set up this fund and to give its powers to ensure that funds are given to eligible students who are pursuing tertiary education through or from accredited tertiary institutions. So that is the purpose of the fund. It's intervention that government set up to really give financial resources to support all students in tertiary institutions pursuing accredited tertiary programs. So that is the background since 2005. This fund has been set up to provide those resources for that. In that case, it's no more SNIT providing the resources or in terms of support. Because I remember in our days in the 90s, we went to SNIT for SNIT loans to help us continue our university education. But now, the Student Loan Trust Fund, since 2005, has been set up by government and by the people of Ghana, by that act, to provide those resources for eligible students in the tertiary institutions.
Okay, let me come to you, Sheila. We're looking at the relevance of the initiative vis-a-vis an evaluation, whether or not it's been able to address the concerns for which it was established. You want to go into that for me?
Yes, thank you very much, and good morning to your listeners. I think your introduction was spot on when you talked about the fact that the fund is supposed to provide opportunities and bridge the gap in education. And so that is one of the core mandate of the fund. We are established to ensure that as many Ghanaians as possible attain in some form of tertiary education. And so the relevance of the fund is situated, if you look at the statistics from the 2010 population census, it said that only 4.5% of Ghanaians make it beyond secondary education. And so that is a very important factor.
Right.
Stakeholders in education must be concerned about. We have a lot of policies that are in place that are envisaging a transformed Ghana, that are envisaging a situation where Ghanaians are in charge of emerging sectors like the oil and gas and many more. But that is not possible if we are not making it beyond secondary education. And so the fund is a very important mechanism to ensure that irrespective of your financial or economic background, once you have the intellectual ability, you are supported to attain to the highest of your potential any form of education. So the fund is not only available to public institutions, but also to private tertiary institutions. Once you are a Ghanaian and you are situated within the boundaries of Ghana, you are entitled to the Student Loan Trust Fund to pursue any form of higher education.
Okay. Now the discussion today mainly has to do with students from the rural areas. How special are they, in quotes, are they being treated? Because it looks like that is where the gap seems to be widening. How is it being addressed?
From two perspectives.
Okay.
The fund has reformed a lot.
Okay.
And most of the reforms that have taken place are meant to provide access to people, especially in the rural areas.
Okay.
So just like the board chair said,
Yes.
in our days, in my days as well, we only used to have SNIT guarantors that had to guarantee for the student loan. And finding a SNIT guarantor is a difficulty. However, it is within our Act, Section 19 of our Act, that every loan must be guaranteed for. So what the fund has done is to open the space for guarantors to include other options. And so now the municipal, metropolitan, and district assemblies can put in place structures to guarantee for students. And interestingly, 7 out of the 10 regions have some districts putting in place structures and guaranteeing for students. So that tells you that they are taking advantage of the opening up of the opportunity and they are participating in providing access. Another means by which we are ensuring that the rural are catered for adequately, it's the way the funds itself is distributed. Again, I would have to go back to a historic perspective where the amounts were based on programs. But these days, the amounts are based on your unique characteristics, which is a means-tested approach. And so irrespective of where you find yourself, you could be in a medical school and get less because the statistics you are providing shows that you have additional support. And you could be, but it is based, the amount you get is based on your unique socio-economic needs. Exactly. It is targeted to try and understand the individual needs and to provide resources accordingly. So that is something, again, that is trying to, close the inequality gap so that the rich or the better placed in society get less and the more vulnerable get more. So those are specific things. Apart from the fact that we have, again, used a channel like GTV to engage in local languages, because information is key to access. So we have employed languages that many of the rural communities are comfortable with to put the message across on the availability of such funds and to encourage them to take it up and push their kids through higher education.
Andy, do we have a barometer, if you like, to evaluate the impacts made so far, whether or not we are making improvements in that regard, closing the gap where rural tertiary education is concerned?
Yes, I think if you see the number of people who are approaching the fund, you go to our zonal offices, we see the number of people who are coming there. That alone gives you an indication that people are now aware and they've seen the need and the help these funds is given to them. You can, like the CEO was trying to say, now as a board, we are trying to shift the focus to the rural areas and to the less endowed people, that they know that they can benefit a lot from that. Now you get admission and you know that at least there's a fund there that can set you up initially, support your parents, then you know there's something there for you. So you don't need to panic as parents. You know that you can get something, access to that. So we are doing a lot of education at the campuses. And the number of people who are now approaching our offices, both head office and regional offices, give us indication that people are now aware of the fund and there's the need for us to do a lot. So this is a kind of parameter that we have. And again, we can also look at how people are also repaying now. The repayment aspect that is going. Now if you are now going out of the shores of this country, go to the airport, every airport, whether domestic or international, you will see Student Loan Trust Fund board there giving a message. Whether you have taken the loan, we want our money back, or you are being told that you can access a loan also. So this is the message. So these are the barometers we are indicating, or we are using in indicating that something is going on, and we are also relevant in the system.
Okay, you want to come in here?
I just wanted to add some more to what the board chair said with respect to impact.
Okay.
If you recall, in the last 2 academic years, the student loan replaced the colleges of education allowances, the teacher trainee allowance. And over the last 2 years, we have disbursed to over 5,800 teacher trainees across the country.
Okay.
And so if you need a barometer, this is a significant
one.
Yes, indicator of how many people in this short duration have been supported to continue school just within one category of tertiary institutions.
I see. Let's look at those who qualify to access or apply for the loan. You want to talk about that?
Yes, the qualification for the loan, it's one, you must be Ghanaian. You should be studying in an accredited tertiary institution.
Accredited is key here.
Accredited is key, and it's for a purpose. You would recall, lately, over the last 10, 15 years, there's been an increase in participation in the provision of tertiary education.
You're right.
And there have been instances where our kids have gone through a particular institution, and at the end of it,
and they're told it wasn't accredited.
It wasn't accredited. So as a fund, we also have the responsibility of protecting citizens.
That is good.
And that is why the accreditation clause is in there. So that if you are in a school that is not giving access to this, that in itself must raise some bells that are we accredited? If we are not, what am I doing here? Why am I paying fees to this institution? And so the fund itself has put in this clause to protect Ghanaians in their quest for higher education, which is a right of theirs, but not from the wrong people.
That's right.
So accredited institution, accredited program, they are key. You should not be beyond 43 years.
Okay.
45 years,
45
yes, 45 years. And it is also for a purpose, because the loan is a subsidized intervention. It's a social intervention with of a very long period.
Right.
So if you are 45 and you access the loan, by the time you finish repaying, you may have gone into pension or something like that. So we also try to protect the taxpayer by putting in place caveats such as this and the guarantorship to ensure that the fund is sustained for the next generations.
Now, taking a look again at the means testing methodology, we want to look specifically now about how you arrive at the quantum that a particular student needs. Can you go over that again?
Okay. The entire people who have encountered the new approach to disbursing have complained that it's a very cumbersome process. But it is because we need to gather as much information as possible on the individual. And some of the information validates earlier information so that we are sure that you are not misinforming the fund.
Okay.
So you see that we would ask how many parents, where do they work, where do they school. So if you are lying, there are instances where you say, my parents are unemployed, and yet you say they have a first degree or a master's degree. So the two do not talk.
At all.
Yes, so we have built a system that is cross-checking earlier information to ensure that when we say you are vulnerable or when you are identified as vulnerable, you truly are vulnerable. You have lost a parent, you are disabled, you come from a large household, gender, you are more vulnerable when you are female, your school itself, where the school is located. Importantly, where you did your primary education, it is also a very good determinant, because when it comes to senior high, most of the very good senior high are government institutions, and so the conditions are the same. And so the parents' background is better determined by the school you take your child at the primary level. If you are from a good household, you're not likely to take them to some local primary.
That's right.
So if you are lying, if you went to a local primary, or we know the deprived locations, and then you come and tell us at the university level, we can coordinate those things because they are strongly linked. The kind of schools you have attended over the period where your parents, where you were born, everything we ask for helps us in determining who you are and what your needs are. And then based on that, we will distribute within a certain threshold. The amounts available are between 630 per annum to 1,600 per annum. When I mention them this way, people are likely to think that it's small. But if you look at the quantum over the period, it is significant. We have a tertiary enrollment population of over 380,000. And out of this, I'm sure some 70% will be Ghanaians.
Of course.
And so, and the loan, therefore, is available to all these people. And currently, if you're a medical student and you engage the loan from the first year, by the time you'll be finishing school and the money will be due, if you are on the maximum amount, for example, we would have supported you to the tune of 18,000 Ghana cedis.
Okay.
And so if you look at those numbers at the end of the period, how much you would have been supported to, it is significant. If the fund hadn't been there, it means in addition to all the costs you have to bear, you have to also find this money. And so for me, it's not money that people should write off, even though people are likely to say, but this can't even buy my smartphone. It's not meant for smartphone alone.
That's right.
It's meant for supporting you in the areas that matter most.
Andy, how are you sure that these, or how do you ensure that the loans get to the deserving students in the first place? And then we look at payments, defaultments and all that, defaultments.
Thank you. As the CEO said, the system is very robust, very technological system that they've put in place, where all this information she was asking, if you put them into the system, the money will not even come to you. It will come to you, switch the individual, make sure that it goes to a plastic that you need to go and take the money. So the money will not go anywhere, but we'll make sure that definitely it comes to you as a person. Nobody can impersonate you. And so definitely the money will get to you and you will get the money and use it. Now, after you've gone through your system, you've enjoyed the facility, we give you a moratorium for 2 years or so. You don't pay anything. And we're thinking that after 2 years, you get yourself a work to do. And after that, the repayment starts. And this is where we want to drum home that the money is not free money. It's a loan given to you, and we needed to get it back and support other people. So the repayment is also there. We have several outlets there, several banks now with the NIB, GN Bank, Ghana Commercial Bank, and stuff like that, that you need to go back and repay the money. Our offices are also available where we also collect the money. So we make sure that people pay back. Now, what we are trying also to do is we take it that you probably have forgotten. So we remind you through advertisement, through the papers, and where you are employed. If we get the list score, we have the details where you are working because of the guarantors and SNIT numbers and stuff like that. We can trace where you are working and stuff like that. Then we work with the employers also to indicate that these monies are for Ghanaians and we need to apply back and help other people, other brothers and sisters of yours to pay back. So that is what we are doing. In fact, as a board, that is our main focus. We want to make sure that we reduce the debt drastically so that people bring back into the fund and it becomes a revolving fund. She was talking about the amount. We do agree that amount, looking at the circumstances, so as a board and government, we are looking at how best we can also raise the quantum. Because we do agree that scanning the environment and economic needs of every individual. So the government, and there's a position that the board has put before government, and I'm sure by the end of the academic year, these figures also will be raised. And much as we are working to raise the figures, we expect that those who have taken the loans and wherever they are now, we expect that you reply back and pay back your loan.
And educate me on the expectation that they will pay back the loan. What do you do to ensure that they really pay? And if they don't, what happens?
I think I'll add that, and the CEO will add to.
Great.
We are, like I indicated, we are doing our best. I always cite myself an example that some of us during our days we thought it was free money.
Party, yeah.
Yes, unless your guarantor is going on retirement at the fall that you go and repay back. So I'm asking that we should do massive education, educate the general public for us to, those of us who have to. Yes, I met somebody outside say, hey, he hasn't paid his loan. I say, yes, now I'm the chair. So I know you now. So you better go and pay before. And we started if you go to our website, we started publishing the names of people who are in default. We started from there now.
And has that created any effect?
Yes. People have created an effect, yes. And I indicated to you about the signpost we have put at all the,
Yes.
we realize most of the people have also gone outside. So we think that they are going outside or they are outsiders. We are doing a lot of education outside there through other medium. And we're trying to also work in collaboration with the foreign ministry to ensure that our embassies and outside there will help us reach the people. So those are the ones. We started advertising on our website, defaulters, to let you know. We've also, if you see in the papers, putting advert in the papers roughly, especially with employers, drawing the attention that if there's somebody here in GBC who has taken a student loan, you need to come to our offices. This in America, this is a serious offense. Serious offense that anybody,
the public purse,
before you take
money.
any public office or anything, you have to make sure that you have paid your student loan. And I'm sure President Obama's example is there for all of us. Before he started the campaign, he has to go and pay his student loan. And that's where we are coming from. We are doing that, pursuing education first. Then the ultimate thing is now detaching monies from your guarantors. This is what we are also pursuing. Those who guarantee
the
for
gradual
you.
that's your final.
Yes, that's the final one.
That's right.
And the obvious one will be publishing the names outside, which we don't want to do it. But we believe that Ghanaians are very good people. When we do our work in terms of education, they will honor their obligations. So we will not get to the bad. When the West comes, probably we might get there, but that is not the aim.
Shall I want to come in here?
Yes, a couple of issues, how we ensure that the money reaches the individual.
That's right.
You know, the e-switch mechanism that GIBS has is controlling, it's a biometric system. And so the student loan is one of the first institutions to have started disbursing loans through that platform. And I must admit, it's been very useful and efficient. What it means is that we have had instances where a student has said, we didn't get the money. But because it's biometric, nobody else can use your card but you. And
so it means you really got it.
Yes, you do. And we can provide evidence of all the places that you access the funds from.
Wonderful.
Because it is based on your biodata and nobody else. That is a plus to the system. The other plus is the fact that you don't need a minimum balance like the traditional bank accounts. In fact, as of now, there are instances where when we used to use the traditional bank account, the money has been disbursed and it didn't hit the client's account because the account had been closed down. You know, the students, we clear everything on the go.
Goes dormant and then
they close the account. And then when you disburse the loan, it's hanging.
That's right.
So the e-switch provides a way around that because it doesn't require any minimum balance. They'll never close your card. It is there. If you have money, you can use it. Moving forward, what we are working with GIBS to do is to provide pay points within tertiary institutions so that instead of the student using the card only as a wallet, the student would use the card to pay for goods and services within their community. They don't have to go and cash the money. They can go to the library and use their e-switch card to pay. They go to the cafeteria or the any book photocopier center, the business centers, so that we discourage them from holding cash in case they are attacked. They can even take the money from them. So we are working into the future in providing a mechanism where they don't have to go and cash the money. And the other issue about repayment, it is key. And we really entreat all Ghanaians to support us to say no to not repaying your loan. When you are vulnerable and you are in school, we all have been in that position. We have taken the student's loan when we needed it. The taxpayer supports you and equips you with what you need to be empowered. So once you have been empowered, you've been given 2 years, then you must not make excuses for not repaying your loan. If that loan is important to you, you would make it first on your expenditure list every month. And if you look at the repayment amounts, they are so minor, they're so minimal, that if you look at the amount people use on credit, they could as well be paying their students' loan. And so we entreat all stakeholders to support us recover the money. The other issues are for employers. It is stated in the law. Some sections of our law makes it illegal for you not to make those deductions among others.
Wonderful. And give me your final words, improving the student loan trust fund.
Thank you.
Awareness creation and all that. In about a minute for me, we'll do.
Okay. What we are now, the student loan trust fund is 10 years. Yes, it's 10
wonderful.
years. So we're going to celebrate our 10th anniversary.
Great.
As a landmark And come September 11th, we are doing the official launch, and we're having a whole year program to do this education that we are talking about. We're expecting the president at the International Conference Center come 11 September.
Great.
So yes, and we are focusing on the team financing tertiary education.
Wonderful.
We want everybody, all stakeholders, to come for us to see how do we finance our tertiary education in terms of getting the rural people in front, and then the less endowed people benefit. So I'm entreating everybody to come. And again, also encouraging everybody that this fund is set up for Ghanaians.
That's right.
As we indicated earlier. And nobody should panic when you get admission. You should just walk into the offices of the Student Loan Trust Fund. We are
across the country?
Across the country.
Fantastic.
All the 10 regions, all the campuses, just walk in there and ask for any help and see what you can get out of them. Parents should know that these are there for them to support them. It's a supporting fund. And I'm sure when we all put the money, again, the key thing is one of the sources to get other people, philanthropists and well-endowed people, to put money into the fund. So we'll use the anniversary to drum home so that we can get a lot of money into the fund so that we can disperse to so many people and help them have a quality education in this country.
So the final words, 15, 20
My
seconds.
final words are, if you fail to plan, you are planning to fail. And so this is a critical point that we are going to be calling on critical stakeholders to help us put together a mechanism that supports the current generation and the future needs of our tertiary students.
Wonderful. So in fact, by all intents and purposes, the Student Loan Trust Fund has come to indeed do what it is mandated to do, create the platform for all of us, to have good quality education without paying much. Look at the payment schedule and all that. But then repayment back is very, very, very crucial in this discussion. Thank you very much, Mr. Andy Osero-Krabo, Chairman of the Student Loan Trust Fund, for your time this morning. Many thanks to you, Mrs. Sheila Nabuama, Chief Executive of the Student Loan Trust Fund, who has come to say, let's all support it. The show is still on. We'll be right back with more. Don't go away.